To understand the appeal of the Hyundai i10, try thinking of watches. You can spend a gazillion quid on a Rolex, but it'll tell the same time as the digital watch you paid a tenner for, and the i10 is one of the digital watches of motoring. Yes, a BMW X7 will massage your backside while you're cruising along. But when it comes to getting from the suburbs to the center, a small car is just as good, better. In fact, because squeezing it through narrow streets and picking a parking space will be far less stressful. The choice of three peppy but efficient little petrol engines mean you'll also be able to weave through city traffic easily, and it'll be cheaper to boot. There's even an M-line trim for those that want a small car that looks a bit sportier. Regardless of which version you go for, the i10 is designed to carry up to 5 people and some luggage. And while it's not as big on the outside as some value cars, the Dacia Sandero for example, it's still relatively practical. It sounds like the i10 have all the basics covered, then, but don't forget the alternatives, as well as the Sandero, which is a bit bigger. You can also pick from the Kia Picanto, the Toyota Aygo X, or, if you want 4-wheel drive, the slightly more rugged Suzuki Ignis. This Hyundai i10 review will tell you what it's like to drive, what it's like inside, and more. We'll also tell you all about the trims and engines when you've decided which model suits you. Make sure you get it for the lowest price by using our new car buying pages. The Hyundai i10's entry-level 1.0 MPI 67 3-cylinder petrol engine is strong enough in town and gets you away from the lights briskly enough. It can feel a little wheezy on motorways though, so be prepared to work the 5-speed manual gearbox quite hard. 0 to 62 miles per hour takes 14.8 seconds. With the optional M gearbox, it's even slower. The pauses between gear changes feel quite long. If you're planning to do longer journeys, we recommend the 1.2 MPI 84. It's a 1.2-liter 4-cylinder engine with a meteor 83 bhp that feels stronger lower in the rev range and revs out more willingly. Its 0 to 62 miles per hour time is a leisurely 12.6 seconds, which is increased if you choose the automatic gearbox. The Sandero 1.0 TCE 90 is altogether punchier if you want more pep. The i10's 99 bhp 1.0 T100 engine could be of interest, but it's exclusive to the pricier N-line trim. It feels the sprightliest of the lot when you put your foot down, and can officially sprint from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 10.5 seconds. The thing is though, it doesn't feel that much quicker than the 1.2 MPI 84 and won't worry even the mildest of hot hatches. City-focused small cars aren't usually the comfiest modes of transport, but the i10 is one of the best, even on the largest 16 inches wheels. It takes the sting out of vicious potholes and resists fidgeting over pimpled surfaces. The Sandero rides pretty well too. And there are more expensive small cars, the Peugeot 208 for example, that ride even better. But by the standards of city cars, the i10 is impressive. The good ride comfort is maintained as you increase your speed. And there's a supple edge that makes even long motorway jaunts a breeze. It's not as well controlled over undulating B roads as the Aygo X, but neither does it feel too soft and bouncy as the Citroën C3 can. The i10 and line's bigger wheels make the ride noticeably firmer and you feel yourself moving around in the seat more as you drive over imperfections. It's not uncomfortable, though, and doesn't crash or thump through potholes. We suspect those who like the idea of a slightly sporting hatchback will be more than happy. Let's cut to the chase. The i10 is a decent drive despite its low price. Even looking at it practically, The tight turning circle and light steering make town driving a breeze. The steering waits up at speed and is precise enough to make the i10 an easy car to place on faster roads. It also musters more grip in the wet than the Picanto. That said, the Picanto is better at resisting body roll, while an Ego X has more playful agility to please those who really revel in throwing a car about. Stiffer i10 and line models roll a little less in bends, feel a bit more poised, and are more fun. But the difference is not vast. By the standards of dinky, three-cylinder petrols, the i10's 1.0 MPI 67 is a refined little lump that's smoother and quieter than the equivalent Sandero or Ego X engine. The same goes for the 1.0 T100. Although it has a fruitier sound that's in keeping with the N-line trim's sportier demeanor, the 1.2 MPI 84 is the quietest of the lot, though, thanks to its extra cylinder improving the engine's smoothness and removing the need to thrash it to get the most out of it, no matter which engine you go for. Wind and road noise at 70 miles per hour is better contained than the Arna Picanto. The standard 5-speed manual gearbox has a light, slick and precise action when you're on the move. But the non-turbocharged models need quite a few revs to get off the line without bogging down. Even so, we'd avoid the optional automatic because, while it doesn't send the revs soaring like the CVT Auto in the Ego X, it's pretty lethargic when it comes to changing gear. Driving position and dashboard. All versions of the i10 get a supportive, height-adjustable driver's seat and a height-adjustable steering wheel. Unlike in the Sandero, there's no reach adjustment for the steering wheel. Although that didn't stop us getting comfortable behind the wheel. What's more, the steering wheel doesn't obscure the top section of the instruments as it can in the VW Up. It lines up well with the pedals and seat, so you're not driving with a crooked posture. And there's more room for your left leg in the footwell than in the considerably larger Dacia Duster small SUV, which overlaps the i10 on price. After a couple of hours behind the wheel, we didn't have any aches or pains. Add in the sensibly placed controls, which are supremely simple to use on the move, and it's hard to fault the i10 here. Visibility, parking sensors, and cameras. The i10 has slender front pillars and well-placed door mirrors that combine to give you a clear view forwards or sideways when pulling out of T-junctions. The rear window line kicks up more towards the back of the car than in the Picanto, and its rear window is shallower. But the i10 is still not a particularly tricky car to reverse, making parking even easier. Every trim level gets a rear view camera and rear parking sensors as standard. You don't get LED headlights with any version, though, like you do with the Sandero. Instead, all i10s come with LED daytime running lights, while the top spec and line trim adds front fog lights. Every i10 comes as standard with an 8.0 and touchscreen infotainment system with DAB radio, Bluetooth, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay. The latter is especially useful because you can't have built-in sat-nav with the entry-level trim, and it's a fairly expensive option on the others. The system itself is similar to the Picanto's and just as easy to use, as is the Sandero's system. They're all a big improvement over the Up's fiddly infotainment. In the i10, the screen is mounted high on the dash, so it's easy to see and reach without taking your eyes too far from the road. The menus and software are well conceived. There are the buttons and knobs surrounding the screen, which are easy to find and make swapping between menus a simple job. Upgrading to mid-spec premium trim or above adds a wireless charging pad to the standard equipment list, but every version has a USB port in the front for charging your phone. The i10 has a 252-liter boot, which is not far short of the Picanto's impressive 255-liter capacity. There's enough space for 3 carry-on suitcases below the parcel shelf, with some room left over, or a fairly hefty shopping trip. There's a fairly high drop to negotiate from the edge of the tailgate to the boot floor, but it's not as big as on the Picanto or Ego X. No i10 has a height-adjustable boot floor, so you're stuck with a bump in the boot floor when you fold down the rear seats. Unlike most city-focused cars, the i10 is a 5-seater. That immediately makes it more versatile than the Ego X and both 4-seaters. Admittedly, loading 3 adults into the rear is a bit of a squeeze, but there's sufficient leg and headroom for 2 6-footers to fit without feeling crushed. The only other cars that offer more space in the back for the price or less are the larger Duster and Sandero. In the i10, the hump that runs along the middle of the floor is low, and there's a good gap between the floor and the bottom of the front seats, so there's plenty of space to put your feet. You get a couple of door pockets big enough for a small bottle of water, a feature that's rare in a city car. The i10 has a that contacts the emergency services automatically in the event of a crash.
Received the Motor Week Driver's Choice Best Ev Award for 2024. Last year, the 2023 Kia F6 also received the